Hey guys, welcome to Wargame Chat. I'm Dave.
I'm Len.
Today we're going to talk about some war movies. Why don't you start it up?
Well, actually I want to bring up one that's not really considered a war movie, but it is. It's a Magnificent Seven. It actually has all the makings of a war movie. You hire mercenaries to protect you from bandits, and there's a big battle and even some treachery among the locals. So it is a good example. Somebody said it defines what war is.
So that take place, I've never seen the movie, or at least I can't remember having seen it. Does that take place in the United States?
In Mexico.
Oh, in Mexico.
Yeah, Mexican peasants hire a group of Americans to protect them from bandits.
Gotcha. So the war is between the mercenary Americans and the bandits. Got it.
Yeah. Even though they do have a Mexican join the bunch at a certain point, who's oddly enough really a German, but
well, speaking of Germans in Mexico, most people don't know this, but like the Mexican brands of beer, especially the popular ones, were all originally German breweries. Like the Corona was originally a German brewery. I think Tecate was too. While the other nations were in North America trying to take land and stuff, the Germans went over here and built breweries.
Yeah, because I think there's a certain area of Germany, all the brewers migrated from there. It's not just also in Mexico, but places like Korea, Japan, and places like that.
Where's that place in South America where a lot of the Nazis went after World War II?
Argentina.
Argentina. Oh, okay.
Yes. There were. I remember when I was young, there was tons of jokes about Argentine waiters or Argentine taxi drivers, or some German-speaking guy. I'm a taxi driver, Achtung. Where do you want to go? I had nothing to do with the war. Nothing.
Yep.
Oh, yes. No.
Well, here's one that's not a movie, but one that I liked. I borrowed them all. You let me borrow the whole series. Sharp's Rifles.
Ah, yes.
That was cool. It was hilarious too. Every episode, this guy met a new woman and had his conquest with her.
Well, he did marry one, but that didn't work out well. I remember, what was it? She conspired with Wesley, the vampire slayer, to kill Sharp. And he suggested, why don't we just wait till the French kill him? Well, they're not doing a good enough. Well, what are they waiting for? Oh.
Yeah, that was cool. The battle scenes were hilarious in it because these guys would reload so fast. It's like, my God, it's like they almost had semi-automatic rifles. Obviously, that's not realistic, but it was hilarious.
Well, one thing got me, they had a limited budget, so they're having a major battle. Each side has about 24 reenactors.
Yeah.
It's like it's worse than the Xena show, where I remember there's one episode where someone tells it the Roman army is coming down the road, and you hear about it. You see a dozen Roman soldiers.
I know exactly. I think I saw that episode.
Then,
with the leather armor instead of metal, because metal armor would have cost too much for their actors, so they made everything out of leather.
And the minute the Romans spotted Xena, they formed a Tostido.
Or Tostido, yeah.
And I'm thinking, what the heck is this?
You wouldn't believe the amount of videos on YouTube that are about testudos.
Really?
Yeah. Yeah, most of them don't call it testudo, though. They refer to like the Roman tortoise or whatever.
Yeah,
but
tortoise formation.
Yeah.
So.
Well, speaking of animals and related to military stuff, the samurai armor that was based on lobster armor from actual lobsters. That's where they got the idea for it, with the segmented armor and stuff. I don't know if it was ever called lobster armor, but from what I understand, that's where the idea came from.
Oh, I'm trying to remember. Thinking of dogs. It's been ages since I've seen the Rin Tin Tin show, because he was the mascot of a cavalry unit in the West. And it's like, what's going on? They start barking. What's wrong? Uh-oh, bad guys are attacking. I remember when bad guys are approaching the fort.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Well, here's one movie I just saw. This one's actually not really. I wouldn't call it a war movie. I might call it sometimes has a conflict movie. But Star Trek, the original movie, it was really long, but it was really good. And I like how it used the Voyager probe and stuff in it. They call it Voyager 6. In real life, there's only a Voyager 1 and a Voyager 2. But in this movie, someone created a Voyager 6, and it fell through a black hole and got made its way across the galaxy or something. So it was taken over by some robotic alien race or something, and they made a ship for it, and it was coming to Earth to find its creator.
Well, one thing, speaking of Star Trek, I always thought when I was watching the original series, I thought of all sorts of plots that they never used. Like, didn't they have some planets who want to succeed from the United Federations? And didn't they have to send in force to get them back? Yeah. Or planets in the Federation fighting each other? Shouldn't they send Kirk in to mediate? And of course, he probably screwed things up and cause a wider war.
Speaking of seceding, back in the day, when something seceded, it was like a state that seceded from a country or whatever. I think in the future that's not going to happen. What's going to happen is all these people association fees for condos and townhouses are going to go to war for the right to leave the condo or townhouse association. I think that's the type of seceding you're going to see in the future. I'm only half joking, too.
Well, isn't there's something about those resorts in Mexico that you have a lifelong lease unless you can get somebody to buy it off of you. That's you just can't abandon it or something like that.
Are you talking about a timeshare? Yeah, I would never buy a timeshare.
Yeah.
I mean, you're paying all that money, to go on vacation to the same place every year? I mean, who would want to go on vacation to the same place every year?
Well, sometimes it's easier to plan. You just go over there and you plop yourself.
But you're certainly not saving any money, that's for sure.
Yeah, because I had an uncle who had he owned a house near a lake, and he just go on vacation. He'd just go there, and he didn't have to plan, anything. Just go there. Sometimes that's part of going on vacation.
So let me ask you this. In Mexico, are there any memorials to that little war they had with the French?
The Cinco de Mayo's commemorating...
Well, the Cinco de Mayo's actually was invented in America. The United States came up with that. In Mexico, as far as I understand, no one celebrates Cinco de Mayo. That's an American thing.
Yeah, it's kind of like our flag. Actually, it was a holiday, but it was so unimportant, most Mexicans didn't bother.
Gotcha.
It's like our Flag Day.
Yeah. Oh, okay. Gotcha.
Some people remember Flag Day, but most people don't. Even though it is a federal holiday.
So when the French lost that battle to the Mexicans, from what I understand, they basically ran out of ammo. Is that the case? Yes. Oh, okay.
Okay, because we're saying that... the old joke was if nations celebrated every time they defeated the French, no one would get any work done. Because it's like, well, they defeated the French, and then actually what happened was the French ran low on ammunition. They decided to retreat, and they came back another day and finished the job.
I think the United States never went to war with France. Yeah, not that I...
Well, there was an incident during the Adams administration, the Quasi War, which consists of us firing on a few French frigates.
When was he in office? That's one of those... You said Adams, right?
Yeah, John Adams.
Yeah, I can't remember when he was in office.
Oh, this is like 17-something or another.
Oh, okay, that was a long time ago, yeah. So the United States was pretty young at that time.
Yeah. There was something about the revolutionary government either did something or insulted us, and there was there was tension for a couple of months, or about a year.
Gotcha.
And I think they probably guillotined the people responsible. So it's easy to negotiate under those terms.
Yeah.
So, I'm trying to think. There's no movies about the Quasi War. So. I know there's one movie I've seen about the Barbary pirates.
Interesting. So does it have the Marines in there and the ships and stuff?
Yeah. Because they had, actually I think it is the Shores of Tripoli with John Payne, not John Wayne, but John Payne. And I think actually Marine O'Hara's in it too.
Cool.
So it's like 1950s action film. I love every minute of it. So it may be corny, but nowadays I take a corny movie over a lot of stuff that's been put out.
You know, and I haven't seen in years, but I've actually seen probably 30 times in my life is Zulu, the movie.
Oh, yes.
That was good. What I'm surprised is there's no notable movies about the Boer War in South Africa that I know of. Do you know of any?
The only one I can think of is Breaker Morant, but that's like one incident in the war.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I'm surprised no one ever went and did like some big movie about that war or something.
Actually, I'm surprised that South Africa, the Union of South Africa, never made any movie.
Yeah.
If they did, it never got here.
Yeah.
So, yeah, that's...
Oh, speaking of a movie, I saw, this was relatively recent. I think the movie was made within the last 15 or 20 years. The Irish were, I don't know if it was in Africa or something, there was an Irish infantry platoon or infantry company that was like surrounded by like an enormous amount of enemy, and they fought it out and survived. I can't.
Yeah, because I think there was a UN peacekeeping mission.
Yeah.
And, yeah, they were surrounded, and they somehow... managed to survive.
Yeah, I saw that. That was a good movie, and when I saw the movie, I actually wasn't familiar with the incident, so that was my first introduction to it. I had actually never heard of it.
Actually, it's the Irish Republic's biggest battle. So that's like, you know, they managed to avoid World War II. So.
But yeah, they did good in that battle, though, that's for sure.
Yeah, there was in World War II that on the D-Day, on hours before they were landed D-Day, the Irish regiment toasted the President of Ireland for keeping Ireland out of the war. And after they drank the toast, one goes, "What the hell are we doing here?" Oh, but it's like, you know, they're professional soldiers. So it was a nice job to have in those days.
Yeah.
So. I'm trying to think, actually, what other wars? I know I've seen only one movie about the Americans fighting in the Philippines against the Philippine guerrillas. And I think Gary Cooper played a doctor.
That was pre-World War, right?
Yeah, actually, that was like
that's the
pre-World War I.
Yeah, that there was some pistol the Army had, I think, that was invented or that they had purchased for that war because they needed massive stopping power because the Filipinos were attacking with swords and stuff. So, I mean, you needed to take them down with one shot or you're going to be chopped in half.
That's why the Army has the Colt 45.
Oh, okay. Gotcha.
Yeah. Even though I think somebody said they brought out a retirement 45 revolver for a year until they got the Colt 45 automatics.
Gotcha.
So, now 6 months to a year because they needed a little more time.
Yeah, those Colt 45s are loud, very loud.
I'm trying to think, is there other movies that, I think there's only been a couple films about the 30 Years War. So, I remember one that had Michael Caine in it.
Yeah. I'd like to see a movie about the English Civil War, actually. I'm sure there's got to be some. I've just never come across one.
I know there's a biography of Cromwell.
Oh, okay.
That's where Richard Harris plays Cromwell as a drunk Irishman. Of course, Richard Harris played all his roles like a drunk Irishman. So, and that had Obi-Wan Kenobi as the King of England losing his head.
Sir Alec Guinness?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
One of his many, and I think, actually, speaking of him, he was in some movie where it was one of the few about the fleet mutinies about 1790. He was the captain of one ship that was humane to his crew, and they had a hard time deciding whether or not to mutiny against them. So you talked him out of it.
Speaking of sailing ship movies, you saw Master and Commander,
Oh,
right?
yes.
Yeah, I liked that movie quite a bit, and I assumed they were going to come out with a sequel, and they never did because of kind of the way they ended it. It kind of left it open to a sequel.
Yeah.
But unfortunately, they never did. Another movie. This one's not a conflict simulation movie that seemed to leave itself open to a sequel was Pandorum, the science fiction movie, and I guess for a while they talked about making a sequel and they never did. That was a good sci-fi movie.
Wait a minute, is that the Avatar? Or?
No, Pandorum, what Pandorum means is when people are on spaceships in outer space, they can develop some illness called Pandorum where they go completely crazy and stuff.
Okay.
And basically this was a ship going to another planet with like thousands of humans on board to relocate. And some of the people woke up early and they became cannibals and stuff. And so some of the crew woke up and they had to avoid being eaten by cannibals and stuff, and so on and so forth. I won't tell you the ending, but that's basically what was going on.
Yeah.
I think that one, most of it was filmed in Germany, from what I understand.
Well, speaking of Barbary War, there was a silent film about the U.S. Constitution, the ship, and that focused on the Barbary Wars.
Oh, that's cool.
And I think the only one I can remember, well, War of 1812, there was Captain Defiant or Captain something. I know they had Robert Taylor in. Captain Coward or something like that. And actually his job was to evade the British until it was time to strike. And Robert Stack is John Paul Jones. Even that disappointed me. You know, the big moment where he just says it so calmly, "I've just begun to fight." And I was thinking if Charlton Heston had this role, he'd be going loudly, "I've just begun to fight." Who, of course, played Andy Jackson in Battle for New Orleans. He is Andy Jackson. I forgot who was John Lafitte. And all I remember is the battle scenes were so good. You occasionally see him in other movies. Even saw him on the Time Tunnel. So.
Cool. Anything else?
Yeah, that's it for now.
All right, that's all we got, guys. We'll have a new topic for next week. If you guys want to help us out and see if you can come up with a topic, yeah, we're running out of ideas again.